7.5 notes, graphing, square roots, and cube root functions. All right, what I'm expecting you to be able to do is graph cube root and square root functions. I'm expecting you to be able to do this without using your calculators, but to start off with, you can use a graphing calculator. So I got my graphing calculator here, so I'm going to put in the function. So going to y equals, and I'm going to put in the square root of x. So shift and the x squared key gives me square root and the x key, and then I'll just hit graph. And hopefully you can see that, what it looks like. All right, that's the picture I get. All right, so it's sort of going to look like this. It starts at 0, 0, goes over to 1, 1, and then goes over to 4, 2. All right, so it goes like this. All right, and that's what the square root looks like. All right, now this time we're going to put a 2 in front of it, and what the 2 is going to do is it's going to multiply both of these y values by 2. So the 0, 0 is going to be still there. This is going to get multiplied by 2, so it was 1, so it's going to move up to here. This one's going to get multiplied by 2, so it's going to move it up to here. All right, and now we would get this graph. All right, and you can see in the calculator, I can do that. All right, so again, I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to do the second and insert key, so I can just insert the 2 in there, put the 2 in there, and then graph, and then you can see that picture of what it looks like now. So it is that picture. All right, and again, you can look at your y equals in your graphing calculator, go to the table and look at it. So what's going to happen with the 1/2 is it's going to multiply it by 1/2. So again, 0, 0 is going to be there. It's going to take half of this one, so it's going to go bring it to there. It's going to take half of this one, so it's going to bring it to here. And now the graph is going to look like this. All right. This graph is actually half of a parabola. I just want to show you this real quick. It's actually half of a parabola. If I would go back here, and I'll change this to, I'll change it, I'll make it negative. All right, so I'll make it a negative, and then I'll go down here, and then I'll put in the positive square root of x. And if I graph both of them together, you see, I get the parabola shape. It's like a sideways parabola. So that plus, if it would have a plus or minus in front of it, it would give you both sides. All right. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. It only gives you half of it. But what it does is it sort of looks like a sideways parabola. All right. So the negative sign is just going to flip it down. And the 3, again, it's going to multiply by 3. So now it's going to be with 0, 0, still going to be there. It's going to multiply this one by a -3, move it down to here, and then multiply this one by a -3. So it's going to move it out to here, and it's going to look like this. Okay, and the -1, again, just flips it to the negative side, so it would look like this. All right, so that's graphing square roots. Okay, and again, note the change in front of this when our a. This time, when the a is bigger than 1, it makes it wider, or brings it wider in here. When it's less than 1, it makes it thinner, which is the opposite of what we were getting before. Okay? So just so you're aware of that. All right, now we got a cube root one. All right, so again, we're going to do the cube root. So I'll go to my graphing calculator. I'll go to y equals, clear both of them out. All right, so again, clear both of them out, and I get my cube root. It's under math, cube root, enter, and then put in my x, and then just graph it. All right, so this one looks like this, goes through -1, -1, it goes through 0, 0, it goes through 1, 1, And what it does is it comes down through like this, and then it goes back around through like that. All right, that's sort of the picture you get. Again, I usually use 3 points just so you guys can see. And then what's going to happen is it's just going to really move those 3 points when we go to these other graphs. Again, if we put the 2 in there, it's going to multiply these by 2. So the 0, 0 is still going to be there. This one's going to go to 2. This one's going to go to 2. And now the graph is going to look like this. All right, so that's what that's going to do. When you do the 1/2, again, it's going to make it a half, so it's still there. Now it's going to move it to halfway. It's going to move this one to halfway. And it's going to give me a graph like this and like this. All right, so something like that would be my cube root 1/2. The -3, again, flips both of them. So that one's going to be there. It's going to flip this one from being on this side to being on this side and 3 spaces over. Same thing here. This one would be here, but it's going to move it over this side and 3 spaces over. So now it's going to look like this. All right. And I can show you that in the graphing calculator. We'll go y equals, and I'm going to do second and the insert, and I'm going to put a -3 out front. So I got my -3, and then if I graph that, you can see that's the graph we get. Okay, which is basically what I drew. All right, and the -1, same thing. It's going to flip this one from being over here to now it's over here. We got the 0, 0, and this one's here. So it's going to look like this. Again, these are like half of a parabola. Each side is like a half of a parabola. If we would flip this one over, this side, if we flip it over, it would make a parabola that way. But that's what your cube root looks like. All right. Now, what we really want to do is all this stuff with it. Again, we're going to be talking about our H and our K again. You should recognize this as this one's with the square root and this one's with the cube root. But again, we have our H and our K. We already discussed what the A did. H and the K, you should know this. From our other ones, we've already done this one. And we've done this one. So we've done them. H and K are the same for this. All right. The H is going to move it left to right. The K is going to move it up or down. And remember the negative sign's in front of it, so it's opposite of what you think. All right. So this one, again, it's a square root one. So the vertex or the origin for this one's going to move to 2, 1. So over 2, up 1. All right. And there's my -3. So it's going to multiply by 3. All right. So I go over 1 and then down because it's negative. 1, 2, 3. And then I could do the other one. It's going to be 6. So it's actually going to end up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down here. And so it's going to look like this if I were to draw it out. All right. But again, just moving it, you should be able to move those. Our cube root one, I got the +2, so -2 this time, and -1. So again, -2, -1 puts me right here. And again, that's where the vertex, that's where our origin moves to. All right, which is a multiple of 3. So we go over 1 and up 3. And then the same thing on the other way, over 1 and then down 3. And so it's going to look like this when it comes through. All right, looks like that. And that is your example 2. All right, then you have these U-tries to do. These are all square roots, and these are all cube roots. So make sure you know the difference. You can pause the video right now, and you can do those. I'm just going to do them real quick so you can see them. But you can pause it now and do them on your own. Right, so number 1, again, we got 3, 2 is our vertex. So 3, 2 is our vertex. A multiple of 2, so over 1 and up 2. And then it will go over 4 and up 4. So it would be up in here somewhere. But again, just draw what's on the graph. Just make sure you know what it's going to look like. All right, this one, -2, -1. So -2, -1. And it's a multiplier of 1/2. So over 1, up 1/2. Over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then up 1, because again, 1/2. All right, and it's going to look like this. And there we go. All right, and the next one is going to be at 1, 3. So 1, 3. And it's a -1, so it's going to flip it. So here, and then 4, and here. And there you go. And again, those were your square root ones, your cube root ones. Again, vertex is at 2, 1. All right, that's your middle point. And then it's a -1, so this one's going to flip over to here. And this one is going to flip over to here. So it's going to look like this. And this. So that's what's going to look something like that. All right, this one a -3, 2. So -3, 2. That's your middle point, and it's just a 1 there, so it's going to be the one that we had before. So it looks something like that. And then we got a 1, -3. And it's a 1/2. So again, it's a 1/2. It's going to be halfway. And then on the other side, halfway. So it's going to look something like this. Remember, these are curved lines. They're half of a parabola, so they're tough to do sometimes. But something like that is what it's going to look like. And again, you can graph them in the graphing calculator and you can check. All right, I will put your homework assignment in with the assignment when I give it to you.